Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Immerfree Con podcast. Today I'm joined by Imran. Imran, thanks so much for being here.
Hey, Zong, bro. It's good to meet you.
Walaikum salam. Meet me. We've met like two, three times before, a couple years
Yeah.
back.
Well, it's good to meet you again. So,
Meet me again. You're right. Yeah, yeah. I was just telling you, this is so cool that we're doing this because I was going through my list and I saw your name and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. We were meant to do this. And so this has finally taken place. So
so
cool
what do y'all
beans.
typically talk about?
It's just candid, man. It's just candid. It's about whatever's been going on lately. One thing that I wanted to open up with is there's this song that I've been listening to a lot lately. It's called Iris by Goo Goo Dolls.
Oh,
And I'd
okay.
heard it before, like passively here and there. Like, yeah, okay, cool, but I didn't really care. And then it wasn't until recently where it just kind of came across and I've been listening to it a lot. And I was reflecting on that phenomenon and I'm like, this is so interesting because they released this song in 1998 and they wrote it for a movie specifically. And here I am now in 2024 actually listening to it and being like, wow, that's so cool. And because of the song, I actually ended up watching the movie it was written for. And that inspired me in its own ways. So it never fails to baffle me how cool that phenomenon is. Someone can create something at a particular time and they don't know what kind of effects that's going to end up having on someone in the future, in another place even. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. I was just watching like a YouTube video. It was like the first sounds recorded. So it's like some dude from like 1880 or 1890 or something. And like we're like listening to him. So that was pretty like that's pretty much what like the comments were on too. It was like this guy is now like cemented, though he probably never even thought anybody would ever hear him again. So
It's
it's pretty cool. I know the song that I didn't know it was written for a movie. What's the movie called?
called City of Angels. And it's really interesting because there's this one movie that I really like. It's called Meet Joe Black, and it's about death, becoming a human, like experiencing humanity. And it's an interesting film. And this film, City of Angels, is similar to that. It's about an angel who decides to experience humanity.
Is that the
So
one
it's
with Nicolas Cage?
yes. Do you know that film?
Isn't that yeah? I think he got like an Academy Award for that, and then he just like played the same character in every single movie following that.
Really? I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, no,
But
I think I don't know if he was nominated or he got one. But yeah, he's like kind of unhinged, right?
he's not he's just like an angel, like trying to understand what humanity is, and then he ends up becoming a human.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's cool, man. It never fails to baffle me how a person can create something, how a bunch of people can come together to create something even, and they have no idea what those effects, what effects their work will have on someone.
Yeah, no, for sure. Um, yeah, bro. That like I've been watching like a bunch of like documentary stuff, like war documentary stuff, and so like they'll talk about that kind of stuff as well. Like uh, like I was watching a bunch of Vietnam documentaries for some reason. Uh, I don't know. That war is really like interesting because it feels like the first war in like American history where everyone just kind of knew it was really dumb.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like people just like went to like this random like rice field for like literally no obvious reason at all. And I don't know, like that war is just super interesting to me. Um, because like I don't know, just because of like current events and stuff, where people just kind of asking like, what's the point of going to like random places and like random different countries like that? But it's like kind of related, I guess, where people like will like make a tape and then someone will watch it like 50 years later and be like, this relates perfectly to what's going on like right here and now.
Yeah.
So,
How did you start getting interested in the war in Vietnam?
just you watch some shorts and a bunch of like dumb crap comes up and you know,
It throws you
uh,
into a rabbit hole.
yeah, my shorts are like Red Dead Redemption 2 mixed with like Islamic stuff, mixed with like a bunch of gun clips. It's like, and then it's like has like some random like World War II stuff just thrown on top, and then somehow that link to like the like that recording thing I was telling you about. Yeah, I probably should. Yeah, the Islamic stuff mixed with the gun stuff isn't a good combination, but it's pretty funny.
One of the things I remember from my US history class in high school, I don't know if you did this, but we'd have to take like reading notes for reading quizzes. And I remember taking reading notes about the war in Vietnam and the Nixon presidency. And I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, Nixon was a terrible president. Like, this is crazy that this guy was actually in office. And I don't really like being political, but I think about that about Joe Biden as well. I'm like, this dude is just a terrible president.
Oh, hey, I'm on a podcast right now. Oh, sorry.
No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine.
But yeah, no, I feel that. Uh, like, I was just talking to someone at work about that, which is probably not a good idea, but when you have people at work that you think are like kind of cool, you'll sometimes go into that territory. So, uh, I was like, because he was telling me about like veterans and how you should be like grateful because you get to live where you're at because they like gave their lives. And I get where he's coming from because we kind of when you grow up in America, you kind of get like a lot of that. Um, but at the same time, it's like so like what you what people did in Vietnam, do we get to we live in like prosperity because of that? Like I'm not like what's the connection to like being safe in America? Like how did going to Vietnam make you safe in America type of thing? Like you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like people will say that and I don't know, I just feel like it's kind of far fetched a little bit. Like people won't call out weird stuff because um just
Because
because like
it's
you
established. It's an established view. That's why.
yeah. Um But I mean, the guy had good intentions and stuff, but I was just like, that doesn't really make any sense. But he had like some veterans in his family, so I was just like, yeah, man, I guess. So,
I'm glad that you mentioned work because there's this quote by Benjamin Disraeli. He said, never complain, never explain. And that hits me hard because it's just profound words. Do you ever find yourself complaining or explaining yourself at work? And do you feel like, what do you
wait, I'm
think
sorry,
about that?
bro. One second. Hey, mom, I can hear everything. Please, just one second. There's an office for us? This is the office room, but there's just a big hole in it. All right, sorry.
You're good. Is everything okay?
Yeah, no, we're having home renovations, so I'm technically in the office room, but there's just a giant hole uh to the next room. So just so I could hear like everything that's happening. But
Yeah, no worries.
yeah, no, it's actually pretty cool. I'm sorry. We're like connecting two rooms, so there's no door right now. It's just a hole.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm sorry, bro. Go ahead. Who's Benjamin Israeli? I don't know who that is.
Benjamin Disraeli. He was prime minister, I believe, of the UK during the Victorian era. So yeah, he just had that quote: "Never complain, never explain." And I think it's a profound quote because I just think it is profound. But what do you think when you hear those words? Never complain, never explain.
Uh, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like somebody would tell me like Andrew Tate said that. I don't know. It sounds like one of them. Like, I mean, it makes sense. Like, don't complain and don't explain. I don't know, but I don't know. When you said it, I just heard it in Andrew Tate's voice for some reason. I don't really watch it, but I have people who send me clips all the time. But no, that seems to be like something people are trying to be like more confident. I don't know. What was like the context?
The idea is never complain, never explain.
I don't know. What do you hear from it?
What I hear from it is something about feelings. Like guard your feelings. Don't let them keep them on a leash, so to speak. Don't just let them out. Because a lot of times we'll feel like we've been treated unfairly, which very well might be true. But it's important to not complain about that. Marcus Aurelius also talks about that. And
Yeah, I
then
mean,
to never
it sounds like.
explain,
Hey, go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say the never explain part. I think is more so about that. Keep your feelings on a leash, because we might feel like we have to make sure every single person that perceived us the wrong way or perceived a certain thing about us the wrong way gets it right. It's like maybe that's not your duty.
Yeah, I mean, from what I got, what I heard when you said it was kind of like there's a lot of like being a victim. So there's that quote kind of like hit me from that type of angle, where it's like
Yeah,
don't complain about your situation, and then also you don't need to explain like yourself to other people. But
I like how you mentioned that word victim because I think a lot of people are victims. And of course, problems have different scales. Some are more serious than others, but a problem is still a problem. And a person can still be a victim. But I don't feel like being a victim necessarily puts you in a position to solve that problem. And what it's making me think of is something that Malcolm X had said in his autobiography. And it's this idea about how when he was a little kid, what he learned was that you got to make some noise to get some attention. It's like he'd cry as a little kid and his mom would come coddle him. And in that way, it's making me think that, yeah, maybe sometimes you do have to complain. Sometimes you do have to explain, but not to be a victim, but rather to put yourself in a better position to solve the problem.
hmm, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I still don't like the complain part. I mean, it makes sense why I was just talking to somebody actually, and at work we actually have like an India team, and a lot of big companies they'll have like an outsourcing type of team. Um, but like the not complain part, it describes the India team very well to like a fault. Where like if you like buried them in work, they would just never tell you about it. So it's kind of interesting because my friend, he was telling me this story where they had a guy from India, and he would just keep like he was like a yes man pretty much, and he would just never complain about his workload until like one day he came in with like bruised knuckles on the wall, like bruised knuckles, and he'd been like punching walls and stuff. So it's definitely like a balance to not complaining
Tell me more
versus.
about that story. He was punching walls because he was so upset.
Yeah, no, it's a story from a. it's I heard it from a guy who knew the guy, but basically he showed up to like work with like bruised knuckles, and people asked him about it, and he's just like casually like, "Oh yeah, I just like punch the wall sometimes." So we do have like problems with our India team. And this isn't from my company, but this is from somebody else's. But basically, like if you just keep giving them stuff, they'll never tell you anything's wrong. They'll just be like quiet. And so there's
This,
definitely merit to like voicing what's going on.
yes, yes, this is very fascinating. And it's made me think that maybe drawing the line isn't complaining. Maybe that is the evening out. But I like how you mentioned this story about punching walls because like I've worked at places where I'd be doing my job the right way, but people want to get into my business and abuse me. And it would piss me off so much. And you'd be like button heads. And then the thing is, like, I'd come home and I'd just be so pissed off. And I'd be like expressing that anger to the wrong people, to like family
Yeah,
members that don't deserve it. And it'd be over like little things. It's like, wait, these are not the people to be expressing that to. Anger has like, you need to have an outlet for your anger, but you got to like make sure that's disciplined and controlled and directed in the right direction,
yeah, yeah, for
pointed in the
sure.
right direction.
Yeah, no, you definitely want to like address that, and people like in America, it's kind of different because people have no problem with complaining. But like on the Desi side, um, yeah, they can be like very yes man type of vibe. Um, and so it's like a balance of you don't want to complain, but it's like just when you need to speak up, it's important to like talk.
Yes. Setting
Um,
those boundaries.
oh yeah, dude. People
Yeah.
like, especially in corporate environment, people will like eat you like wolf if you just if you let people just pile work on you and you don't tell people this is not my job, you need to knock this out. Um, they're happy to just give it to you um, until you just quit or whatever. I've seen that
I'm
plenty of times. I've
curious.
seen people like break down crying in bathrooms because they don't know how to tell people I don't need any more work. And to be fair, it is kind of their fault for not setting those boundaries. Like it's sad or whatever, but it's also like, yo, why did it get to this point? So,
Wow.
so
This
yeah.
is interesting. I want to hear more about this, but before I ask you about that, just one thing I wanted to mention. I remember like some days I'd be coming home from work and I'd be so pissed off. I'd have like this hot head and I'd enter like a video game world and I'd start beating up NPCs. And I'm like, this is how I'm letting out my anger. But what I wanted to ask you about what you shared right now is how do you navigate with that? How do you deal with those encounters where people are trying to give you stuff that's not your responsibility? How do you set up those boundaries?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's hard, but it's simple. It's just telling people like, no, I don't have the bandwidth. Like that's pretty much it. Especially in like a corporate, like you tell people, and it's something you have to learn. Like some people have they're either too nice or they're too like a hole, and so you have to figure out where you are on that spectrum. Like I know I lean more towards like super nice person, so now I have to learn the opposite, which is how to say no to people. Um, I remember I was giving this person like a ride, and uh, and some people will just take advantage of you because you give someone a ride, and now every single day they want a ride from you. Um, so it's my fault if I don't tell that person to screw off. You know what I'm saying? I can't be like, well, that person sucks and I hate that person and then I just like cry in my house by myself or like I like yell at my wife or something. Like, it's not and that happens. I mean, people who will like take their anger out on their family. So, uh and it's their fault for
Are you
not.
married?
Yeah, I got married like 6 months
No
ago.
way. No way. Congratulations.
Yeah, almost, bro.
Wow.
It's been good.
Wow. What is that like for you? What's the best part about it?
Uh, I guess someone like I guess you have someone who's like at home who's like waiting. That's kind of cool.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
that. Dude,
yeah.
I had this one cousin. She got married out here. And I was talking to her husband, and I'm like, yo, so like, what's the best thing about it for you? And he was telling me something similar to you. He's like, I'm not alone anymore. Like, I have someone there with me that can go watch an anime movie with me, or that can go hit up some restaurant with me. And the way he was talking about it, it just seemed so cool. And I remember Carl Jung also talked about this in one of the books. He was like, he recognized that, wow, now that I'm married, I'm in a way a different person. I'm not going to have the same alone time as I had when I was single. I just think that's so fascinating.
I mean, I still do like alone time stuff. Uh, like I'll go to the masjid by myself, or maybe like I'll go to like a coffee shop because I always like just being alone. Um, I used to go to like hookah lounges and just like sit there by myself for like 2 3 hours. Um, and I'll still like randomly do that. Um,
And that's a
but
cool thing when you just go to a place and sit there by yourself.
yeah,
Why do you do that?
I don't know. I think I'm just kind of like a that's just type of personality. Like if I hang out with a lot of people, I get like worn out after like an hour. Like I'll get like physically tired.
Social
Uh,
battery.
yeah, dude, I have to like social battery myself. I mean, some other people are the opposite. Like they can't be alone like at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Sometimes being around people is attentionally taxing. I've noted like there's something that I like to do every once in a while where I'll take like random friend groups that I have and I'll put them together. So you'll have like these Viking brothers with like these desis, and then I'll take these Mexicans with my Asian friends and we'll all get together. And it's so interesting to
yeah,
see how everybody like interacts with one another. But I remember for myself, like in those situations, everyone there might not know each other, but they all know me. And so there's definitely like some conversation going on between me and all of them, and it feels attentionally taxing sometimes. Sometimes like,
I've
oh,
done that for sure with mixed results. I've made friends meet each other that shouldn't have met each other, and they
yeah.
like
Isn't
met
it
someone.
also interesting where like you said right there they shouldn't have met each other, but it's like I might get along really well with one person, with two people, but they might not interact with each other the same way.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I think it's because you might have like I think your friends you all share like there's a part of you that you share with that person. And so when you have these different friends, you like share different like parts of yourself. Like one of the guys is like that I hang out with is like super chill and like he's just like quiet and he could sit by himself for a long time too. And then one of the guys is like super like analytical and hyper and like kind of autistic. Um, and I share like a little bit of that too. I mean, I'm not like as much as he is, but like there's a part of me that could just like stare at a graph for like an hour, and just try to like figure out like a trend. And
Mm,
then like I like have different friends, and I think they just like reflect different like parts of you.
yeah.
So
I've talked about this before. It's a phenomenon that interests me. When you're friends with someone for a while and say that you've told them parts of about yourself that you haven't really told to other people, but then you stop being friends with them, and suddenly now they're out there in the world with a piece of you. It's like, damn, they're out there in the world. A piece of me is out there in the world.
yeah, that's pretty. It's an interesting thought. It's kind of out there.
Yeah. Well, you know what
But
I mean. Like where you when you just you're not friends with the person anymore, but you guys have shared memories. You have shared
yeah, no, for
experiences.
sure. And I I just narrated one of my friend's stories, and he could be, narrating one of my stories to some random dude too. So that's kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Have you started working?
Not yet, but soon.
I am, bro.
And yeah, inshallah. And you said random, which is funny because I was reflecting on how you and me met, and I just remember you were so funny. You had this joke about cowbells. I don't remember how that joke went exactly, but it was hilarious.
Cowbells?
Cowbells. Yeah.
Oh,
But you don't recall that, huh?
no. But I remember when I was at U of H, I had like been my job before was milking cows. And
Oh.
people thought when I told that to other people, they thought it was like an innuendo, like I was like a male prostitute or something. Um, but I was like, no, it's literal. Like I told that to that MSA Imam guy, uh, and he thought it was like something extremely inappropriate, and he was like very like he just kept laughing at me, and I was like, what's going on? And then I figured out later that he actually thought I was just like BSing him the whole time, and no.
I think this is what it was. Yeah, I remember it had something to do with cows. And I remember I couldn't stop laughing when you shared that with us. But I'm curious, how do you remember me? Because this is literally us seeing each other for the first time in nearly 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more than 2 years. Or you said I came sometime in 22. Uh, yeah, bro. I just remember you had like long hair. You kind of look like you should have been in a boy band. Um, so that's why I said you look like Zayn Malik or something. And you're brown, so just kind of put the puzzle piece.
And it's funny that you say that because I have like a vague memory of that, but I don't really remember that. And then I shared
Uh,
that cow thing with you, and you didn't really remember that either. It's like, wow, we just
no, no,
remember things in interesting ways, huh?
no. I have probably like 3 or 4 Omars in my phone, and yours said 1D right next to it. Your name. And that's the only way I knew exactly who I was talking
Wild, wild.
to.
Yeah,
Or else
no.
if I just saw Omar on my phone, I would have been like, I actually spelled it wrong too. That's funny too.
Hmm.
But because I put an A. But yeah, no, I would have been completely been like, is he that Arab Omar? The one who used to sit in the library. I don't know if you remember that guy. But the twins, they're like twins.
Oh, that guy. I do remember that
It
guy.
was like an
Yeah.
Omar and an Abdullah. But yeah, they were
Yeah.
twins. Um, and funny enough, they had a podcast too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people started it during that COVID time for sure. And I randomly met with them. They were doing some like video competition, MSA Miss thing. And I wasn't really part of MSA. I just used to hang out in that, U of H basement. Um, but they were like in all the competitions and stuff. And I like showed up to a masjid and they were like filming something. And I was like, sure, I'll come help.
What's interesting about those guys is they just vanished. They disappeared. And I was talking to some people the other day and I'm like, hey, you guys know what happened to them? Like, no idea. And I was telling them, like, man, I think I spotted them like once or twice in the wild on campus, but they disappeared. So it's interesting. People come and go, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. I had a college friend, um, because my when I came to U of H, the degree I was doing was music. I was
No
doing a
way.
music. I actually have it's a part of my degree. It's on my like diploma. Uh, yeah, it's like computer science and music research. It's actually interesting. But yeah, so I came in and there was this guy I knew really well, and we used to hang out like every day, like the first like right before COVID, from like 2017 to 2020, and I have not been able to get in contact with him. Like his mom like passed away. It's actually a really sad story. Uh, like she like She like got drunk and like slipped and hit her head and then just died. Real bummer. Um, but yeah, no, I tried to get in contact with him sometime after that, but he just never saw him ever again.
Damn.
Yeah, no, it was actually really sad because it like took him a second to process it. Like for like a month, he was just like, "Yeah, man, it happened." And then like a month later, he just never saw the guy ever again. So like, I hope he's good. But, yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy. I used to hang out with him every single day for like 3 years.
When so the last time you saw him was 2020.
Yeah,
Damn.
yeah,
Wild. Wild.
I
I
know.
hope he's good
Oh.
too.
Yeah, no, it's like someone can be like, and that's how a lot of the high school friends are too. It's like someone could be like in your life like every single day, and then you're just like, poof. Yeah,
Poof indeed.
ain't seen that
I
guy since 2016. Like, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had a friend. He he ended up so he had cancer,
Hmm.
but he ended up becoming Muslim at the UH Dawa table.
Oh,
And then
nice.
he told me about this. He's like, "Hey man, like technically I converted and stuff." I was like, "Whoa, that's so cool, you know?" And then he passed away, and I didn't know about this until a month after they cremated him. And I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy." And he was a really good friend of mine. And when I found out about this, I let some boys know in the MSA. Muhammad Rafat, I don't know if you know him, but I let him
Yeah,
know
yeah,
specifically. And he's like, dude, we gotta have a janazah for this guy. It's our responsibility.
yeah, for
And
sure.
so he organized one in the library basement. And like the whole MSA, like a lot of people, the most packed I've ever seen that basement pulled up just to pray janazah for this guy. And I was like, wow, that's how interesting is that?
Yeah, no, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's a
But
bummer about the
dude, a music degree, that's cool. Do you have a favorite song these days?
Hey, dude, these days I actually stopped listening to music, which is what's funny because it's on my degree. It's on all my resumes, bro. Because before I milked cows, I used to go from high school to high school and do tuba lessons. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and then I played in like orchestra and band. I was at the U of H marching band too, so it was like 10 years of that. And yeah, I just learned like tuba under the guy over at U of H. It was pretty intense, or it was pretty cool actually. Because he's like the tuba player in the Houston Grand Opera,
Mm.
and it's kind of we did it like the old method of learning where you like sit under a dude. Like that's kind of how people used to learn before like colleges. Is you
What do you
just have
mean?
like a master tradesman and you would just like apprentice under him and you just sat under like Islamically like it's called like sitting under a sheikh and you
Hmm.
just like sit on like you just listen to his classes and you listen to his rulings and then he like approves for you to go and like do that thing when you reach like level.
To go tuba. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. So it was basically like I sat under him for like 3 years and like you get to like I like that method of learning way better than like the university style because there's no like personal connection at all with any of the professors unless you like really search for that. But for like 99% of your classes, it's like nobody even really talked to their professor. But like this method, yeah, go ahead, bro.
no, no, I was just gonna say, when you were listening to music, did you have a favorite song?
Uh, hmm, I got super into this band called like Angels and Airwaves. It's by the guy from Blink 182.
Ah,
Yeah, the guy Tom DeLonge. He started this other band called Angels and Airwaves. And I still have like a shirt or something or a hat around here somewhere. But yeah, I listened to that. It was basically like a lot of like punk pop. I don't even know what you call that. Angels and Airwaves is kind of different.
They're
Indie
so
rock.
interesting. Yeah, I gotta be honest. You didn't really strike me as the guy to be into that, but it's interesting. It's
Yeah, no,
cool.
I mean, I grew up. My brother was like kind of on that like emo music trend, and then yeah, we all kind of just like that's why I knew exactly when you said Goo Goo Dolls. I was like, oh, I know exactly that. I know
Yeah,
all that
this is so
crap.
wild. I knew that when I was gonna mention that's gonna be hit or a miss. Either you'd know or you'd have no idea. So
Oh yeah, no,
it's
obviously.
wild that you
Yeah,
did
I know
know.
that's probably the only song of theirs I know. That's like I think that's probably their main
Dude,
one.
they have another amazing song. It's called Name. And I was listening to it. I'm like, wow. I don't know what it is for you, but when I listen to a song, it's not as much the melody that I'm attracted to as it is the poetry of the words. Like if
Huh.
the writing is strong, I go, damn, that's insane. So
Yeah, no,
what Johnny was able to write, it's insane. It's
I've always
impressive.
been like interested in that like spoken. Have you ever heard like spoken word?
Yeah, yeah.
I, I I always thought that was so like interesting. I never knew any. I didn't even know where to start searching for that, but I wanted to listen to some more of it. But
Mm.
yeah, usually the topics are always some like weird topics. But I was trying to find like where like people talked about like normal stuff. It was always like political type,
Yeah.
like that. What was that thing? That big like Broadway play that got Alexander Hamilton. Like where it's just like a lot of that type of like weird liberal politics for the spoken word. But I was like, if I could find like an apolitical spoken word stuff, I would definitely listen to
Mm.
it.
It's funny that you mentioned that, man. But dude, I gotta say, like, as fun as this conversation has been so far, we're coming to a close. We got 2 minutes on the clock. I
Oh,
always
okay.
ask, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you felt like you wanted to say but you didn't get a chance to? Or something on your mind that you wanted to express?
For sure, bro. I wanted to talk about like I don't know like where you've been on your like Islamic journey, but it'd be cool like if I get to talk to you some other time to hear about
Yeah.
that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
This has been a fun one, dude. Like this whole conversation, I was like, it feels like it's been building up to more. So yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
awesome to have you on again, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. After COVID, that became like definitely a bigger part of my life. I like started, you know, like a lot of people memorize the Quran as like a kid, but I think it's way more intense when you do it as like someone who's in their 20s.
Is that what you've been up to?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing that in Arabic. So
Impressive.
yeah, no, for sure. I want to get your thoughts on that, and because memorizing as an adult, where you like understand what's going on, and then you go through life and you go through work and you go through like lows, it's something else, you know. As like versus when you're like 7 and you're just like I go here because like my parents sent me here.
True,
Yeah,
true. We must definitely have a part two, inshallah.
yeah, yeah,
But I suppose until then, eh?
yeah, yeah.
Take
Thanks,
care.
yeah, bro. Chill. I'll see you later.
Yeah, nice seeing you as well, dude.